Good. We get a little appearance from Mocha.
Mocha, come on.
It's like, no.
I kind of almost roll over him and he got scared. So come here, buddy. Come on in. There we go.
Mocha's like, I don't feel like being on camera today.
I promise. I didn't actually hit him, for the record. I just scared him. So he's here, and I can put my camera over on him if you want.
Yeah, we'd love a little shake paw hello.
Okay.
Yeah, anytime. If you'd even like to start with that, that's.
Hey Mocha, can you come here?
What's not to love?
Mocha, come. That's it. Come here, buddy. He is so confused by all these. Sit here. Okay, sit. Mocha, sit. Let's see if we can get this. Okay, here's Mocha, sit.
Hi, Mocha.
Yeah. Okay, Mocha.
You're such a good boy.
High five. High five. That's my boy. High five. Mocha, high five. Ah, you're such a good boy. You're such a good boy. Yeah, there you are. Oops, you can keep moving. Okay, so that's Mocha.
Lovely. So lovely to meet Mocha.
Yeah, that's a good boy. We're just going to talk for a while, Ben. I know you haven't been out. We'll see.
Awesome. Well, it's a pleasure to have you both on the show today. Welcome, Mark and Tasneem.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you, Rama.
So I'm going to give our audience a little introduction. So Mark, you have quite an impressive resume. So Mark has spent most of his life fighting for the environment and environmental justice and a better world. And he actually co-founded Greenpeace USA and was its first national campaign director. He went on to become an environmental lawyer, among other things, and helped force polluters to clean up contaminated communities. And since 2008, Mark has focused on battling the world's #1 existential threat, which is climate change. So unfortunately, at the end of 2017, Mark developed a rare neurological disorder, and it has adversely affected Mark's mobility, including making walking difficult and reducing the use of his hands. But Mark has eventually, although he had to give up most of his professional work in his newly discovered free time, Mark decided to dream up his current initiative that we're going to talk about today, which is Roll and Stroll to raise awareness and money to combat hunger. And your site is called 4wheels, 4hunger. And we're also joined by the fabulous and amazing Tasneem, who is the chair of Save the Children. She is the chair of Save the Children Leadership Council, which is BLC, and it's a community of friends and neighbors who seek to increase the presence of Save the Children in the greater Boston area. So that's, you two are a powerful duo combined.
Thank you.
Good for our ego.
And what an amazing cause. So hunger and children.
Exactly.
So Mark, I'm gonna start by asking you. I'm sorry I interrupted there. I'm going to start by asking you what inspired you to pursue this initiative.
Well, in February, the end of February, I was rolling with Mocha, and it was a beautiful sunny day, but it was the pandemic, and sunny means super cold, but there are still tons of people out. And so they were all really nice to us as we were going by, and everybody always likes to pet Mocha. And I was ruminating on these news stories that I had read about how the stock market was up. And so the economy is getting better, but at the same time, 15 million people who had lost their jobs because of the pandemic still hadn't gotten new jobs. And I started wondering how they were going to feed themselves. And then another report came out about how the pandemic was causing hunger around the world. And that really made me think I needed to do something.
Right. And so what are some of the other similar things that you've done in the past?
Well, I wouldn't call it similar. And just to add one more thing to my answer of your last question, it seemed to me that the way the media was having trouble reporting on worldwide hunger in Massachusetts, America, and the world, made me think that they needed a distraction, like a crazy old guy in an electric wheelchair with a super cute dog. And I really wanted to transfer that kindness that people express to me and get them to think about hunger and how to end hunger and to donate money to help with the pandemic hunger.
Excellent. And do you think
the second question?
Yeah, go ahead.
When I was 19 at McGill University, I would get together with other activists and plan protests at the annual slaughter of the baby seals off the east coast of Canada. We'd also work to figure out how we can get people to focus on the need for a commercial whaling moratorium. So it's not the same thing. I'm not putting my body in front of a sealing ship, but I'm putting my body in, I'm putting my body in a position where I have to go across Massachusetts in a really difficult way to get people to go, why is this crazy guy doing that? And let's deal with hunger.
Right. Absolutely. You're certainly putting yourself through your body's paces.
I'm trying.
I was just gonna say, I'm sure that some of your experience with founding and running Greenpeace has rubbed off on some of the work you're doing with this initiative now and all that experience.
It has. I mean, one of my favorite campaigns that I directed was we had 3 people climb super stacks, which are these smokestacks from power plants that are over 1,000 feet tall. And it was when they were trying to amend the Clean Air Act to stop acid rain and deal with sulfuric acid and other chemicals that were killing our lakes and forests. And so we put 3 people up these super stacks and they dropped a banner that said, "Stop acid rain." The police went up one of them and we had a base jumper. So when the police got to the top, he hopped off with a parachute and landed in a Zodiac in Lake Michigan and got away without getting arrested. But
right.
What that did is the next week in Time magazine, which at the time there was Time and there was Newsweek, and Time had a full page article on why the Clean Air Act needed to be amended to stop acid rain, and a picture of our action right in the middle, and no discussion of Greenpeace and no discussion of what we did. It was all about stopping acid rain. And the same thing here. I'm doing this, but I hope the main discussion is on people realizing how bad hunger is and that we need to act to fix the immediate problem and then look at systemic changes.
Right. I have a feeling that base jumper was you, Mark, but we won't disclose any more information on that one. And speaking of hunger, how bad is it here in Massachusetts?
Well, in Massachusetts, hunger doubled during the pandemic. The Greater Boston Food Bank and the Merrimack Valley Food Bank actually had their greatest demands for hunger in April and May of this year, after some of the stimulus checks had already gone out. And it got a little bit better over the summer, but now that unemployment benefits have ended and the eviction ban has ended, 2 million people are going to be evicted by the end of next month. And there's another 12 million approximately who face eviction from their rental apartments and others from their homes. And the end of unemployment benefits are going to put a lot of people in a situation where they're experiencing food insecurity, a lot of them for the first time in their lives.
Right. That's that's pretty dire. And which organizations do the proceeds go to that you'll be raising through this initiative?
So when I did this, I decided I wanted to act locally, but also impact globally. And so we are supporting the 4 major food banks in Massachusetts: the Greater Boston Food Bank, the Merrimack Valley Food Bank, the Worcester County Food Bank, and the Food Bank of Western Mass. And then to deal with hunger in the US and hunger in the world, we're donating to Save the Children.
Excellent. And Tasneem, as the all things Save the Children in Boston, how does this intersect and fit into your organization's greater plan?
Mhm. I think one of the geniuses of Mark's initiative, 4hunger.org, is that it allows multiple platforms to advocate their work, the challenges associated with hunger, and the solutions various organizations, 4 of them, as you mentioned, in Massachusetts, and Save the Children sort of in rural America and globally provide. I think, so here I am going to advocate for Save the Children here. We heard that 15 million children in the United States are food insecure. In rural America, that number is significantly worse, partly because they do not have the luxury of YWCA or a Boys and Girls Clubs or other organization, they're food deserts. And also there is, besides the problem with availability and access, with the changing, we're talking about the climate crisis. The climate crisis has led to, especially in places like California, wildfires and hurricane, and in the southwest and southeast, the excessive amount of hurricanes that have suddenly taken away opportunities of people, and people need to adapt. The coal industry is gone in Kentucky. And that's a good thing at one level, but that you're taking, the livelihoods of others. And the Boston Leadership Council are basically friends and neighbors who have come together because we admire the sustainable life-saving work of Save the Children. It's the multiple attributes of the organization that bring us together. If I give an example, they're always there for the long haul. In Afghanistan, where we all know, especially with the Taliban, the things have become even more dire. But even prior to that, 38% of children growth was stunted.
Mm-hmm.
That is like almost 2 in 5 kids
Right.
whose brain development is affected, 2 in 5 kids almost who are just too hungry to go to school. They are part of this constant cycle of poverty and hunger.
Yeah.
But Save the Children has been on the ground, when I say in the long haul, not only in times of crisis, but every day for the past 40 years, providing nutritional services, providing services in the health field for moms and lactating moms and children, because of all the fallout from being malnourished and immunity and open to diseases, communicable diseases like diarrhea and pneumonia. In the other aspect that I think we admire as a group in Boston is its sustainable solution-based programs. Horn of Africa has been suffering from extensive years of drought. 13 million people are food insecure there. And a great example of Save the Children's solution base is the livelihood programs, where they train, especially the focus is on young people, but they train families, inclusive girls, women, men, and boys, to adapt to different farming techniques. They give lending money to small farm owners, especially women, so they can have a sustainable kitchen and find ways to raise their livestock in a changing climate environment. They're innovative in their work, finding very low cost, simple solutions. Like in rural America, when COVID hit, they started partnering with the local schools and repurposed the school buses that were no longer picking and dropping children off, but delivering lunches to kids. Probably the only hot meal that the kids would receive. I mean, that's one thing we've realized during the COVID is how right here in the United States, children are dependent on school lunches for the nutrition. So these are all the things that we hope to highlight through the wonderful platform that Mark has created that has allowed us in the Boston area to speak of the work of Save the Children.
Oh, that's fantastic. So it's not only, you not only have a local presence, but an international presence.
Absolutely. In 120 countries around the world.
Right. And you have a variety of Hollywood celebrities that are also tirelessly working for Save the Children.
They do. I think the most hardworking, famous face is definitely Jennifer Garner. I think she's done a lot of work especially right now, in the Afghan refugees that we are resettling who have come to the United States. So absolutely that. And if I may, there's one thing I think I must point out is what probably sets Save the Children slightly apart from some of the other organizations is that its maniacal focus on reaching the most vulnerable children in the hardest to reach areas, sort of very rural parts of America and really hard to reach parts of the countryside in Africa, Asia, South America. Those are the toughest place to be a child. Not only is accessibility not an option, actually getting them access is also a problem.
Right.
So I think that's one thing about, reaching the most vulnerable, reaching the most marginalized in the hardest to reach areas is a key thing that does set Save the Children apart.
Well, that sounds fantastic. And how many years have you been part of the organization for Save the Children?
I myself have been part of Save the Children now 17 years. I got involved in Save the Children about, I'm originally from Pakistan, and there was an earthquake in Pakistan, and just after Hurricane Katrina hit, actually, a few months after, and what that showed me was the amazing generosity of my neighbors in Greenwich, Connecticut. Honestly, this American generosity is unmatched. You see everywhere, it's American generosity is really unmatched. But I also recognize at that point that, this is post-September 11th. It's a different climate.
Right.
How do I inspire? How do I make my neighbors in Greenwich, Connecticut feel that their money is going in the right hands? And Save the Children being in my backyard at that time it was still in Westport, Connecticut. Now it's in Fairfield. Had that credibility. It had the credibility of my neighbors, and it had the credibility of the community it was serving that was hard hit with the earthquake, because again, they are there for the long haul. They have legs in the community and they form partnerships with the local communities.
Right.
So
Wow, excellent. And how long has Save the Children been in operation?
102 years.
Wow, look at that.
Save the Children was started by this very eccentric English woman by the wonderful name of Eglantine Jebb. And this is after World War I. Women don't have the right to vote now. Forget people thinking about children's rights.
Right.
She came up with this very, crazy idea that children have rights. And what are we going to do about the hungry children who have lost? The children in Hungary and Austria and Germany.
Right.
And she would get onto her soapbox. And once at this big concert hall in London, Royal Albert Hall, she stood up and she was, talking about the importance of, feeding children after World War I. And she was heckled in the audience by people, and especially one of them said, "Why are we thinking about the enemy? Why are we feeding the enemy?" And the Irish playwright Bernard Shaw came to her defense, so to speak, though she didn't need no one to defend her. He came forward and looked at one of the gentlemen in the audience and said, "Sir, I don't know about you, but I have no enemy under the age of 10." And that's sort of the basis of
Right.
Save the Children, and how this is something I learned during the launch, Mark, from Courtney. That Save the Children started by so she would get onto the soapbox, she would get arrested. And one of the judges was so impressed when she got arrested by what she was standing for, actually gave her a little bit of money towards, and that was the first donation Save the Children received.
Nice. Wow. You know what they say, if you want the job of two men done, you just have to find the right woman. Right? No offense, Mark. And Mocha.
Well, I have two daughters, so I cannot disagree.
Excellent. And then I can't imagine going through public school with the name Eglantine. Well, thank you, Tasneem. That was amazing. It's really fascinating to know this about Save the Children. And Mark, you have a grueling pace. Your kickoff starts this weekend, I believe.
No, it actually started last weekend.
Oh, last weekend. Wow, look at that. Okay. And
we have so our launch started last weekend on Saturday at the Home Range Winery in Canaan, New York, which is a fabulous eclectic place with incredible wine. And if you have never tasted a slightly sparkling red wine with a deep Cabernet taste, oh my God, they have really tasty wines. Anyway, they donated for free for us to launch there, and it's half a mile from West Stockbridge. So we crossed the New York, Massachusetts border and rolled on from West Stockbridge, and we're making our way through Lenox and Lee and Beckett and all these little towns in rural Berkshires. And the Food Bank of Western Mass spends a lot of their time dealing with rural poverty as well as hunger in the city. So it's sort of a balance. So we're going through all these little towns, and by next weekend we'll reach Holyoke and then Chicopee and Springfield, and then go on to Worcester and Boston, Hyannis, and then out to Provincetown. Hopefully, knock on wood, November 7th.
right. And how's it going so far? You're a week into it. How does it feel?
Well, I wish I was a week into it. I'm 3 days into it, but it's been great. It's kind of amazing the number of people who toot their horns and wave. And we passed a retired woman who worked at the local senior services, Wheels on Meals. And we passed her, and she chased us down 4 miles later to give us $20. And then in the next town, the highway department truck stopped, and I was going, oh no, we talked to the police, there shouldn't be a problem. And this guy from the highway department came and gave us $20. And we've got these little stickers with our website and the QR code so people can donate right away. And people are coming from their houses and crossing the road to get the stickers. And it's been pretty amazing. So that's the exciting part. And then the kind of beautiful part is I'm rolling on, we took 7 days to find a safe route from Western Massachusetts to Boston to Provincetown. And you would not believe how unfriendly roads are to wheelchairs. There are so few safe roads. Anyway, so we're winding our way on all these back roads. And yesterday we actually hit a dirt road. And we were in a quintessential Berkshire, beautiful forest. And, a hawk came swooping down the road. And it's interesting to go through the world at 3 miles an hour, because Mocha gets to decide when he stops to sniff, and if he wants to run or if he wants to walk. He kind of sets the pace, and we do roughly 3.5 miles an hour when we're out in the country, and it'll be slower when we go through the city,
Right.
Just because there'll be more people. So I'm really enjoying this part, but can't wait also to get into the cities, and then we go into suburbs, and it's just the tapestry of Massachusetts is much more diverse than I thought it was when we started.
Right. Oh, excellent. And so if people want to join you and walk with you, they can take a look at your schedule, and that's also online on your website.
Yeah, I think if people want to walk, the best thing to do is to email me at mark@4hunger.org. Just because we would love to have people walk with us, but we also can't be a parade. Right. So there's going to be limits to people, right. And we ask that people who join us never mind. I was going to say, I'm going to say, we ask that people who join us follow our COVID protocols, because with the Delta and my immune condition, it's important that we stay safe.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I was going to say people who join Mark should actively be promoting on social media, on email, whatever they're comfortable picking up and calling the grandma if they need to, actively promoting Mark's initiative, and if possible, donating to 4hunger.org. Okay. I think Mark's great. I think when I've been inspired by Mark, and he says this is an awareness, an awakening of the problem of hunger. You can go and donate a couple of cans of food to your local food pantry, or maybe spend some time, whatever, but make this a real way of helping Mark communicate to the good people of Massachusetts the problems and challenges associated right now due to climate crisis and COVID on hunger.
Right.
And if I could add to that, when we launched, I made a challenge that every resident of Massachusetts, during the 7 weeks that we're going to be rolling, donate either to us or to your local food pantry, your local hunger organization. Donate somewhere to deal with pandemic crisis.
Right. And just one more thing, Mark, one thing that has really resonated with me is, I think you probably will say it more eloquently. Is it true that's about $1 a day to feed a child?
hunger organizations can feed a child, particularly Save the Children can feed a child for $1 a day. And if you go on their website, they have how much it costs to feed a family. But the thing that's important is donating to Save the Children, donating to any one of the 4 food banks. If you go on our website, 4hunger.org, you can see we've got details. They talk about what kinds of food, how healthy their food is. All of them get lots of donations from local farms. And they also each, and the reason I hesitated whether you can feed a child for $1 is it depends where you live. And in Massachusetts, food costs 25% more than the national average. So hunger in Norfolk County went up more than in any county in the entire United States because food is so expensive here.
Wow. That's really interesting to know.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you both. It's good to know, Mark and Mocha, you are not camera shy. People can come out and videotape you and post on Insta.
And Mocha loves a rub.
That's good to know. And there's no way to resist stopping off and saying and high-fiving Mocha. So this is a pleasure. Thank you both.
But one last thing, I'm sorry.
Yes, go right ahead.
Every day on our Facebook page, we will say where we stopped the last day and where we're starting the next day.
That's great. That's great to know. So people can come find you.
Yes.
Amazing. Well, I'm sure we're all looking forward to seeing you roll through each of our towns here in Massachusetts.
Well, I hope to see you along the roll.
Absolutely.
4hunger.org, the number 4hunger.org. Thank you so much, Rama.
Thank you. Such a joy.
Hello, I'm Mark Roberts, and this is my ever-loving Labradoodle Mocha. Starting in September, we'll be rolling and strolling across Massachusetts to raise awareness and money to combat hunger, and we really need your help. My wife Susan and I live in Stowe, Massachusetts, with family across the US and Canada. 3 years ago, I was impacted by a rare neurological disease called rhomboamyeloneuropathy. It's progressing and painful, and I've had to give up my professional work as an attorney fighting climate change. I can still walk around my house, but need an electric wheelchair to get to the end of my driveway. All of my life I've been an activist. At 18, I became involved with the Greenpeace movement, working to save the whales and seals. Subsequently, I co-founded Greenpeace USA and served as its first national campaign director. Next, I helped communities clean up hazardous waste sites, and recently worked to combat climate change by helping to get a global phase down of super greenhouse gases in refrigeration and air conditioning, which will prevent up to a degree of warming by the end of the century. Like you, I've recently heard a lot about the pandemic exacerbating hunger. 42 million people in the US don't have enough to eat, including 1 in 8 children in Massachusetts. Nearly 1 billion people worldwide go to bed hungry every night. I see the pandemic as a warning of the widespread hunger that will be caused by natural disasters and changes in food production due to climate change. Unfortunately, hunger issues just are not getting the attention and media coverage they deserve. My disease won't let me roll forever, so now is the time for me to make a difference by rolling across Massachusetts, talking about hunger, the pandemic, and climate change. Thanks to my team of compassionate volunteers, friends, and colleagues, I've got the basics for our project in place. Mocha and I will stop to highlight food banks, pantries, kitchens, and shelters that are working to alleviate hunger. Of course, I'm doing this to raise awareness, but also to raise money. I need donors and sponsors to join me. All you need to know is on our website, 4hunger.org. Thanks for sharing these few moments with Mocha and me. Please keep those millions of people who go to bed hungry in your thoughts, and do what you can to help. And I'll see you along my route.